This is Tim,
This is Jason.
and this is Critiquing Comics. Welcome to Critiquing Comics. This is Tim in Tokyo with Jason in Portland. How's everything going there?
Great. These are fantastic. I'm house sitting. I'm surrounded by 4 dogs. When these people went on vacation, they had a full liquor cabinet.
They did.
Not the case anymore. Been on a liquid diet with these 4 rugrats.
Is it super hot there again?
It was, yeah. We had another heat wave, which is terrible. If you're like me and you're a moody, pale ginger, it's not great. But today it's been back down to about 80, 70s, 80s. So it's much more tolerable today.
Okay.
I was able to leave the house and not incinerate on site.
Okay. You step outside and you're just a pile of ash.
Pretty much. I have to clean up the yard for these guys, and if I can get it in 10 minutes and not burn up, I'm excited. But I also put on like a sun hat and a long sleeve sun shirt. Yeah, you won't find me at the beach.
I see. Okay, so we've got a comic called Midnight Highway, Issue 1.
I think you're mispronouncing it.
What should I be saying?
Midnight Highway.
Okay.
It's a horror book. It's very Lovecrafty, and this cover is
Midnight Highway.
Awesome. Midnight Highway. Yeah, I see it as like a death metal thing. Midnight Highway. Great title. Honestly, I'm shocked it wasn't taken. It's a really good title.
Written by Mike Tainer and Alex Maday, lettered and edited by Dave Lentz, art by Alexander Malyshev, colors by Hedwin Zaldivar. Right, this is a horror book, and it starts out with this guy and his girlfriend watching a horror movie, and it's all sweet, and so this is bad. Something's going to happen to this couple. And he's heading home, and he encounters this, what appears to be a deer standing in the road, but turns out to apparently be possessed by something. It's unclear at this point. It's only the first issue, and a lot has not been explained yet. But yeah, it's scary, and there's this weird broadcast on the radio at the same time, and it's not clear what's going to happen to this guy yet. But
so it's the first issue, so it's like 21 pages, and without giving too much away, but there's really not too much to give away. It is moody. It hits all the horror notes. Like, you're in a horror story. The coloring is fantastic. The art is really good.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know if the writing's good because not much happens, I guess I would say. It's mostly a chase scene. Mm-hmm. It's really well done. Like, as soon as I opened up this PDF, I was like, oh, this is like this. If you told me this was a Marvel book, I would have believed it.
Yeah, or an Image book, maybe.
Like the coloring and the art. Yeah, it's just really, it's of a high professional quality, which immediately makes me feel like I'm in really good hands. If I could ding it, it's the writing is, there are 2 main characters. There's Kelly Arnold and her boyfriend, Alex Tomlin. And I couldn't tell you much about them, other than they have a good, sweet relationship. Mm-hmm. So they live in a small town. I don't know what their relationship is to the town. Do they like it? Do they want to leave the town? They're just a couple in love. And the conflict towards the end of the book is he wants to get back to her. He thinks that she's in danger, which is a great human conflict. We don't want our loved ones to be in danger. Although I could stand to lose a few aunts and uncles. But I think there's an opportunity, if I'm going to criticize anything, I would like to have a little bit more about them and their context of this town, to each other, their hopes and dreams, and more about the town itself. It seems like the town is going to be an environment.
Yeah, that part of it feels a little slapdash. Like, okay, here's the couple, and here's the small town. Now let's get to the story. And yeah, it could have used some expansion on that, the introduction to the world.
Right. It would make me more concerned for him and his relationship if I just knew a little bit more about them, or if they had any other conflict. I mean, they're being chased by a Cthulhu-like creature. It could be an alien. I'm sure we'll find out more later. And that's a great conflict. There's a little bit you could do to just give the characters more depth. And maybe we're going to get to that. But I would have liked that, especially in a first issue, to really hook somebody. But that's a minor quibble. I think the art, the panel choices they make, it's frenetic. The majority of the issue is a chase scene. So if you read just this first issue, would you be hooked to come back?
I'm curious about what happens. I mean, certainly, maybe I'm not much of a horror guy, but the art is cool enough that I'd like to see more of it. And I'm surprised, for a horror, moody piece, how colorful it is.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of bright colors which you don't usually associate with a horror story.
No, but they're also smart. They bring some of that coloring into the panel borders. So there is like a purple neon. The panel borders will be purple neon to, I think, give it a little bit of spark in these nighttime scenes, which I think is very clever. Like the art and the coloring is superb, and the writing is not bad per se. It's just hard to get a real feel for the main characters. But also, so the lettering in the radio transmissions, that's colorful. So yeah, the colors are great. And I think they're layered in a way that doesn't detract from the horror feel. Like there's a moment of realization where the background turns to red, and it's not a flat red; it's a gradient red. Also, they do a lot of. There could just be a scene of the main character walking out of his car, and they'll tilt the panel a little bit. Little stuff like that keeps it visually interesting, so it's not just static standing on a flat surface, which I think is a real missed opportunity. So yeah, the choices are great. And you said this was funded through Kickstarter?
Well, I assume that the first issue was. When this was sent to us, it was pointed out that they were kickstarting the second issue, which has now been funded. So there will be more coming. When I read this, though, I was feeling like, I mean, I don't fault them for doing it an issue at a time, but for horror, and it's so dependent on the mood, and then to just have like, okay, something's happening, see you next issue, it feels a little, it kind of breaks the spell. I think if I were going to read this, I'd rather read the whole thing at once and get the whole feel of the whole story.
I think it's a pacing issue. I think this does feel very cinematic, and I think in a comic book, to get people to come back after 20, give them a 20-page chunk, you want to get to the end of the first act usually. You want to really set the tone, and you want to know what the character's choice is going to be going forward. So this has the inciting incident of him having contact with this otherworldly force, but it's still a bit nebulous what it all means. It looks cool. It's well done, but story-wise, it is a slower pace, and I agree. I would like to have a bigger hook at the end of the first issue to know why to come back. That said, I would still probably come back just because I think this is of a professional quality, and it's in my wheelhouse. And the visual storytelling is really, really strong.
Yes.
So, I don't know if they're doing a secondary funding on Indiegogo, but I will definitely follow these creators on Kickstarter so I can get an alert next time they launch, and then I can get issues 1, 2, and 3 in one chunk. It seems like they don't have any problems funding. It seems like they have an audience, as they should. It's really well done. I think you and I are saying the same thing. The pacing is a little slow. I want to know more about why I want to care about this world and the place. But it's not a bad journey getting there. The cover is a real grabber, the first one, and that's a heavy metal title, Midnight Highway. That could be a Judas Priest album from '83. I'll spare you my Rob Halford impression because I can't hit those notes. But the aesthetic is cool. Yeah, I guess we're saying the same thing. We want more.
Yeah. And yeah, the album cover should be that second page with the deer creature in the foreground and the car coming up on it.
Well, I think that was done by a different artist, Alex Monik. But
inside cover art by Alex Monik, yes. But it fits right in.
If you saw the first, it's not incongruous with the other art. I just want to make sure that we call that out because Alex did a good job on it. But antlers, in and of themselves, are super creepy. So if you saw the first season of True Crime, what was it? Oh boy, Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey, the TV show they had on HBO.
Okay.
They had a horror show. I'm forgetting the title of it now. True Detective. Antlers played a big part in that. If you watched Hannibal, the recent horror TV show with Hannibal Lecter, Antlers play a big part in there. Like, it's just creepy imagery to play with, so I think they were really smart to bring that into the second cover. I don't know what the new covers look like, but it's the imagery alone is going to carry a lot of this.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to see more. It's very well done. I think the later you come into it, the more you can catch up. So if there's like a catch up tier on the current or future Kickstarter, that's what I would recommend.
Mm-hmm.
But if this came out once every 6 months, it might be a little bit or once a year. The pace is a little slow for that. I like a fast pace. I like the economy of storytelling for me personally. But this works too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll link to their Kickstarter page, even though they've funded and they've finished. But there'll probably be an issue 3 kickstarted later, so people can follow them.
Often Kickstarters will have a follow that campaign off of Kickstarter. So they'll have a link that'll direct you to the creator stores or their Indiegogo campaign that succeeds the regular campaign. Kickstarter is good about letting creators continue to collect funds after the campaign has stopped. There may also be a backer kit page, but yeah, definitely check out their campaign and see how you can get in on the action. I definitely will. And the lettering is good too. It's super solid all around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks really good.
I mean, usually we've seen this before, where lettering is where indie people drop the ball a little bit, or maybe save a little bit of money. That is not the case here. The lettering is this is a really good lettering job.
And nothing was misspelled either that I could find.
No. Yeah, really. So kudos to the editor.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they have an editor. That's been, a refrain on critiquing comics for a long time. Make sure you get an editor. And they have Dave is lettering and editing. So I guess he's editing as he letters or something. But yeah, he did a good job on both counts.
Yeah, you want to double check. I just did a young adult novel, and we paid a copy editor. My co-writer is really strident about typos. I gave it a read. Someone else gave it a read. My wife, I finally pestered her. I'm like, hey, did you read my book? I'm a novelist. And she's like, yeah, it had 4 typos. And I was like, son of a bitch.
That was what she retained from reading it.
Yeah, that was her review. So out of 16,000 words, 4 typos snuck in. So yeah, it's really easy, especially when you're editing your own stuff, to have typos. So yeah, kudos to them.
Okay, and I don't know how much else we have to say about it. It's only 21 pages. So.
And yes. I don't want to ruin everything about it.
Right, yeah. We don't want to sit here and just read all the dialogue.
Yeah. All right, which character do you want to play? Do you want to play Kelly and I'll be Alex? It's me, babe. Alex, your boyfriend. All right, good job, Midnight Highway.
Yes.
Life is a Midnight Highway.
And listeners, if you'd like us to critique your comics, send a PDF or a link to mail@deconstructingcomics.com, and we'll probably read the whole thing. And we used to say 30 pages, but that seems to have fallen by the wayside with Mulele out of the picture. But then we will critique it on the show. So thanks for listening, and thank you, Jason.
Thank you for having me.